Hello everyone. We are back with another What I Dreamt story and analysis, whatever you want to call it. Before I get into that, I do want to talk about something that happened. My dream actually happened in real life, but not exactly like a dream. So the last story that I shared was about two butterflies. And in my dream, there was a blue and black butterfly on the ground, and the yellow butterfly was flying. I was out walking, and I was waiting to cross the street, and I was going to cross, and I looked back to make sure that there wasn't like a car coming, and I saw a black butterfly, and it was a really big one. It was like a huge butterfly, and it just went the other direction. And I was like, oh, that was pretty. And then as I kept walking and got further down the road, on the ground there was a yellow butterfly. And I was like, And I just had like this moment of like, that's really weird. That's weird. That's suspicious. But I thought it was interesting that it was the opposite of my dream. Sorry, I'm being nosy. Sorry. But I thought it was weird that it was the opposite of my dream. I don't know what it means. I will have as a little nod to it, I have like little journal prompts that you can make like I have a PDF that I'm going to share a link to on my Gumroad. Check it out if you want some journaling prompts that I came up with based off of that. So on to this week's dream. This one was a weird one. It was long-ish. Saying a dream is long or short is weird because time doesn't apply to a dream, but it felt long. I will say that. It felt like a longer dream. It started out with, it was sort of like a competition where people were supposed to be challenged to like stay inside this house for as long as possible. And it was revealed that there was like this entity, kind of like a demon, that was going to show up and claim all of the people who were participating in the competition. And basically it was like it was set up like a TV show, and one of the producers of the show basically told everyone, yeah, so we have this agreement with, like I said, this demon entity. I don't think they said a name, but maybe they did, and I just don't remember. But they were like, we have this deal, and basically we sacrificed a bunch of people at regular intervals to this demon entity, and he makes us rich. And so everyone obviously panicked, and we were all running around. And I just remember there was one other person who was in the group that I was like, that person is my friend. And so I was trying to move through the chaos to find her. Because I was like, if we're gonna die, I want to like hang out with somebody cool, Like it's inevitable. Like there's nothing we can do about the situation. It's happening. And so I was like, let me find her. And so I was like, everybody's running around, freaking out. And it's weird because all of the people who were being sacrificed are freaking out. And everyone else was just going on about their business. Like, because they had made the show and they were editing and working on other projects. Like they're sitting at computers and their desks and they're just like, da, 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 we're working, da, 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 da. And so it was this weird dichotomy of energy of it's the end of the world for some of us. Anyway, I eventually find the girl, and they had like a snack table because it was production, so there was food, craft services set up a lovely spread, and we were just grabbing snacks. And like she grabbed some candy, and I was gonna grab one thing. But when I picked it up, there was a bag behind it, and it said, I don't really fully remember all the way, but I feel like it said something like, for post-clarity activity. No idea. Dream nonsense, but it felt, I remembered it vaguely. And so that was the snack that I grabbed. And it was sort of like, it was candy, but it looked kind of like, this is a UK thing. It's called like All Sorts. And it's basically just like, this company makes a bunch of different kinds of candy and they put them all together, mixed up in one bag. It looks sort of like that kind of a thing. Like there was just a variety of candies in the bag. So I grabbed that one and we started to run to go hide somewhere, even though there was no hiding. Like I said, this was it felt very inevitable. Like it was very clear how the dream was going to end. But we started running and we were going up this flight of stairs in the house, and there were two other girls also going the same direction. And all of a sudden we hear this voice behind us, and the voice says, I love it when you guys run. It's always so entertaining. And we all like froze for a second, and we didn't want to look. We were just looking at each other like, well, that's it. And then we started running again. And the four of us were running in this narrow staircase space, trying to fight to like not be the one closest to the demon that's slowly walking behind us, following us calmly, not really chasing, but just because, of course, I already said the conclusion of the dream is what it is. We all knew what was happening. And as we were all running and scrambling up these stairs and the demon is following behind us, he's like saying, I think I'll start with you in the red, and then I'll kill you there in the shorts, because I think you would be more upset if you saw her die first. And then I'm going to kill you, and then you, and this is how I'm going to do it. And just super casual about the whole thing, just strolling along, talking about murder, right? And me and the girl that I was running with split off from the other two girls. Like we got to the top of the stairs and there was like rooms this way and rooms that way. They went one way, we went another way, and the demon followed the other girls. And we ran down the hall and we were like opening doors down the hall, and every single room just had a bunch of people in it. And again, these were all people who were part of the pact, so they weren't stressed out at all. Most of the people were like napping. They're like curled up in bed, or like looking at something on their phones, but just not concerned at all. And we realized all these rooms are full. So we weren't going to get anywhere to hide by ourselves, and we were just like, whatever. And so we ran into a room, and the girl hid underneath the bed in the main room, and I like ran towards what I thought was a closet, but it was more like a smaller room. And there were people sleeping on the floor in this room. And I just remember like grabbing a blanket and like pulling it up over my head and hiding. And right before I woke up, I could hear the demon opening the door to the main room. And obviously I got so scared I woke up because I was like, all right, that's enough. That's close enough for me. And I woke up. Yeah, that was a weird dream. It was, I have to say, it would make a really good movie though. Like, I would watch that. I would absolutely watch that movie. It almost had like kind of like a crossing of the streams of Cabin in the Woods and what was that? The Haunted Mansion? Is that the one where they get paid to stay in the house? I don't know. I think that's, but like a combination of those two movies, right? Kind of. So the breakdown. I'm gonna try my best. Um, I think the part about being tricked into believing one thing and then getting baited and switched into something else that was completely the opposite direction is sort of me. I've been having work issues. We'll say that. No surprise there. But like the idea that the whole concept of the game show is you win and you get all this life-changing amount of money, right? You play the game and you get this thing. And then it turns out, we're just kidding. You're not getting any of that stuff. You're actually going to die tonight so that we can get those things. And that feels very parallel to the capitalist system of, oh, if you work hard and you work your way up through the system, you get to the top, and then you have a wonderful life. Like you can buy a house, you can go on vacations, you can have everything you need. But then the reality is you do the work and you show up and you work hard and then you make money for the person you work for. And that's what the reality is, that bait and switch, right? I feel like that was me pointing that out to myself for some reason. Well, I know exactly why. Because I have something that I would like to do, and it is not the things that I have been doing. And I know that. That was my subconscious screaming at me like this. And again, the that's a big word for Homo. The inevitability of the dream, because like the whole time I knew I wasn't going to survive this. Like, even though, in your dreams, like, you have control over it, but this wasn't a lucid dream. This was just, I was in the movie, okay? And so I knew that I wasn't going to survive this. And so that was like my subconscious driving home the point. If you continue to try to play this game, you're not going to win. You're not the winner in this game. Feel how you feel about the state of the world today, but I have a feeling if this video you're watching this video, it's because you are probably in agreement with my assessment of the system. The other aspect that seemed obvious was the dichotomy of the people who were in on the pact and the people who were the victims of that pact. So you have that, and that is probably my brain, further driving home the point. There are people who are winning at this game, and there are people who aren't going to ever win at this game. And the people who are winning at the game don't care to change the game because they're always going to win. They had the pact. They were perfectly safe. Those people were fine to go on about their business and plan out their vacations for that they were going to take with all the money they were going to make off of the show, right? And then those other few, the group that I was a part of, was scrambling, trying to do their best to fight something that was inevitable, trying to win the game even if they knew that they had basically already lost the game. And since we're talking about the whole win-lose thing, had I not agreed to be on the show and signed the contract, that was basically how they trapped people into the pact as sacrifices. So even if we had somehow made it out of the house, the entity was still going to claim us because we signed a deal. We signed our own pact with the little NDAs and all those little things they make you sign when you go on like a game show like that. We signed the contract. We were always going to, it was going to end the way that it was going to end, right? So the only way to get out of that is to not play the game at all. Going back to the metaphor that I linked to the whole productivity and society and all of that, right? If I continue to try to play this game, it's not going to work for me. I'm screaming at myself subconsciously in my dreams at all times, apparently. And this one was really loud, right? And then there was the whole, this is going to end, at least let me find somebody cool. I've talked on this channel before about my whole lone wolf thing. It would be really dope to find at least one person to make the whole signing on to the pact thing bearable. And I haven't really ever accomplished that. Like, there have been moments where I've had like people that I worked with be like, cool, but it never really extends very far past the point when I no longer work there. And I think that's something that happens a lot, especially if you're working in like a toxic work environment. You tend to not connect with those people after you're out of the environment. It's like a trauma bond thing. Like, once the trauma's over, you don't really have anything to connect on. Your experience may vary, obviously. But it is sort of like, and then of course the whole going to get snacks. It's that seeking comfort and companionship in the midst of inevitable chaos and destruction. Maybe that's my subconscious telling me that's something I need to do a little bit more and embrace a little bit more. I have been, at my current job, pretty aloof and I guess withholding, we'll say. I do tend to lean into the self-protection of keeping a lid on my personality and presenting a blank slate of sorts to people at work, just because if you're the kind of person who does that, you get it. It's just easier than having people like get offended by something that you're interested in, or just like using it as fuel down the line. You know how it is. If you're the kind of person who keeps to yourself at work, you know why you do it, and there's a good reason for it. And if you're the kind of person who's not like that, then congratulations, you had it really good. And I'm not being sarcastic, genuinely, good for you that you don't understand it. But it is very much a self-preservation thing where it just feels safer to not open myself up to that. But I guess subconsciously I do want comfort in some way. companionship. It's clearly what I'm looking for. Yeah, it was a dream, you know, it happened. But yeah, those are the big things that came up. The thing on the candy, the little bag that said, for post-activity clarity. That was weird, right? It's almost like, again, that's my subconscious calling out for a little bit of balance. And so, like, maybe I need to establish a routine, or when I get home from work, something that will allow me to disconnect from the day, something that signals that you're here and now you're not. Like, separating the two. Like, leave that there and come into here, which I probably should do a little bit more. There is definitely a little bit of a ritual for when I get home, but that's usually just like, I'm not gonna disqualify what I do. It's a routine, and it definitely does wonders for pulling me out of my work state of mind and into my home state. However fragile that concept of home is for me at the moment. Different beings, whole other can. That was a weird way to say that. But yeah, separate thing. But like when I get home from work, the first thing I do is take a shower. That is because it is pretty much on a daily basis at least 90 degrees. And it's gross. I am gross by the time that I get home. 3.5 miles in that kind of heat will definitely necessitate a shower. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much of a non-sweater you claim to be. So yes, when I get home, I take a shower. And I usually eat something. I say usually, because sometimes I'm just exhausted and I kind of just end up taking a nap, which is not great for my sleep cycle. Usually in the times that I take a nap, I end up staying up way later and it throws off the whole rhythm. So I do try to eat, and then usually that will wake me up enough. Try to get on my mat. I actually have room for my mat now. I rearranged everything in here in my little space so that I have space for a yoga mat so I can practice at home. Very nice. And it is nice to be able to get back into that again and enjoy that practice and connect with myself in that way. So I feel like that was the call of the candy bag saying, for post-activity clarity. It's such a weird way to say that. Anyway. We also have the demon, the super chill, murderous demon, and the whole, like in Cabin in the Woods, most of those entities that came through were like, you know, they were like aggressive and like just ripping people apart, and that was like the energy that they brought to it. But I feel like while that is scary, it's even scarier when the monster is chill. Like, it definitely speaks to, like, it's a signal that There is no other ending but the one where the demon gets you. Like, there's no escape, and the demon knows that. That's why they're so chill and calm and just strolling through, because they're like, you're not going anywhere. I don't need to panic. I don't need to, like, there's no rush here. You're not going anywhere. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And that feels like it's speaking to concepts of inevitability. That big word again. And it's almost like representing the things in life that are just, they are what they are, and you can't change them, you can't escape them, you can't outrun them, you can't, like I said, because even if we had gotten out of the house, the demon was still going to get us anyway, because of the contract. It was going to get us. It feels like the contract, yes, could apply to work, but could also apply to life as a whole. And the demon is time, death, endings, things that are just immutable facts of life. I do have a lot of beef with time itself. On one hand, it feels like I don't have enough time to do the things that I want to do. And not just like day to day, I mean like on a grand scale. Like, I just feel like I don't know that I'll ever get to the things that I want to do. And so my mind created that monster to represent that to me. Maybe to force me to sit with that energy and to face it and to say, yes, it is inevitable, but it doesn't have to be miserable. And then, of course, there was going into the room with all those people who are sleeping and trying to hide amongst those people. It speaks to me feeling like it seems like most people are more or less chill with the way things are, and understanding that to get the things you need to live, you play the game, you sign the contract. And you sign that contract, and then, you're fine. The demon shows up, but he's not here for you. And that's okay. You're fine with that. And the people who are benefiting from it, obviously, they signed a different contract. And so, of course, they're fine with it. They're just like, I'm going to get the good part out of this. And me trying to hide amongst them is almost speaking to continuing to accept jobs that I know aren't aligned with what speaks to my heart and my soul, and trying to sign the contract that will allow me to be chill when the demon shows up. But the thing is, I didn't sign that contract, and I haven't signed that. I will not ever sign that contract. That is not for me. It does not resonate with me at all. I even less so than ever before in my life. I do not have it in me to play the game. I literally cannot work a service job ever, because I can't go back to bending over backwards the way that you have to when you work in the service industry, the way that you are expected to. I don't have that in me anymore. And I find myself being less and less capable of playing all of those games that go into leading to where someone will invite you to sign the good contract. That means you don't have to panic when the demon shows up. I don't have that in me. I don't. And so me hiding in that room was like me saying to myself, like, you can go in there if you want to. He's gonna get you anyway. Like, he knows the truth. The truth is very obvious. You're not signing that contract. You haven't signed that contract, and you won't sign that contract. It's sort of me poking myself in the stomach and saying, you know better. You know you don't belong here. I'm kind of mean. I'm kind of mean. So overall, I guess this dream is a wake-up call and a reminder and a little bit of insight into something that I really need that I might not have been paying attention to. So that was my dream. That was my interpretation. And as a meditative offering based on all of that, I actually have two. So one is tied into, there's a song by Julia Michaels and someone else whose name is escaping me, but it's called If the World Was Ending. If the World Were Ending. One of those. I think it's If the World Was Ending. But meditation will lean into that energy of inviting you to explore what's really important to you. The other one will be centered around rituals, establishing things that, you might need to do to separate from the rest of your day to the day that is the part of your day that is for you. And maybe you don't even have something that feels like it's for you, and this would allow you to create that. Yeah. So we got two options there, and they will be available down below. I will have a PDF version of each one, and there will also be an audio guided version. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was kind of a long one, but I had fun, and I hope you do too. So I want to say thank you so much for sitting with me. I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and you enjoy your weekend, and that you are well.